What's up, people? Today, the long-awaited only 3 exercises you need to build your triceps, build those triceratops triceps. But before we get to the gym, my protein sent me this nice pumpkin spice impact whey protein. Just in time for Halloween. But yeah, let's try this before we head out there. Let's see it. I haven't had regular whey protein in a while. Frank, you want some? Yeah?
Sure.
Oh. All right, man. Cheers. That's good. All right, we are ready to head to the gym, so let's get it. All right, we are back at the Lakeview LA Fitness here in Chicago. This is my home gym. You know, after being a month out in California, it's good to be back. I kind of miss this gym. All right, let's head up there. All right, so when it comes to biasing your triceps, a big question a lot of people have is, how do I, let's say, hit one head over the other, right? How do I target, let's say, my long head compared to lateral and medial head, right? Like, how do I actually separate the two when I'm doing an exercise? So I'm basically gonna cover that today. Let's start out with long head, because long head gets confused a lot of times. A lot of people in the past used to believe that an overhead tricep movement, such as, you know, a dumbbell or cable overhead tricep extension, would bias your long head of your triceps. But in the most recent evidence-based studies, it's shown that it's the opposite. Your long head is most biased when you're doing a tricep exercise with your arm close at your side down here. Now, another big thing is that you can better even bias the long head by, instead of doing a push down from here, but having this little bit of shoulder abduction, having this little gap in between your body and arm. So that's what we're gonna try to replicate in a cable tricep exercise. So let's get on the first exercise. Okay, so first exercise we have is a cable crossbody tricep extension that does literally exactly what I mentioned earlier. Instead of doing the push down, traditionally, let's say with a rope or even single arm down here with your arm next to your body, what we're doing is we're having a little bit of shoulder abduction so we're better able to preferentiate that long head in this movement. So I think the key thing here, the most tricky part, is if you don't have a mirror, like right here, it's gonna be pretty hard for you to set this up, because what you wanna do is you wanna make sure that the cable's actually lined up with your arm. So use the mirror to kind of get a better gauge and find that sweet spot, okay? You definitely don't wanna like internally rotate and do the tricep extension from here, or you don't wanna be like too externally rotated either. If I'm right next to the cables, I like to take like one step back. Usually I'm able to kind of mess around and find that sweet spot. So that's the first exercise for the long head of your triceps, which, if you're not sure which side is which, long head is this inner portion over here, this really big part of the triceps. So I think because it is naturally the biggest part of your triceps, it's probably the part that you want to dedicate the most time to. So that was the first exercise. Now we're gonna be moving on to a lateral and medial head bias tricep exercise for the second exercise. Let's go.
So tragically, I had some technical difficulties with the audio in this next section, so I'm going to be explaining it with a voiceover. So the second exercise I choose for the only 3 tricep exercises you need to grow your triceps is the machine tricep dips, which I think is a very underrated triceps exercise. Now, the reason why I chose this exercise is because it does a great job of biasing the lateral head of your triceps, what I'm pointing to right now, as well as the medial head of my triceps, which kind of gets overshadowed by the more visible long and lateral head, but sits just underneath right there. You see where my middle finger, or now my ring fingers, that's the medial head. Now, the reason why I like the machine dip over, let's say, like a bodyweight version is because it's more stable. This specific version even has this little seatbelt, which I find absolutely hilarious. But because the movement's more stable, ideally you're able to better focus on your triceps, right, as opposed to trying to stabilize your body, and that's the idea, is you can kind of push harder because of it. Now, the machine dip is a compound movement, so the way you actually bias your triceps over your chest with this movement is make sure you're not using the overly wide handle, right? So you want a closer grip when you're doing this, and you want to avoid leaning down as I'm demonstrating here. I'm basically showing the way that you shouldn't be doing it, because that way you'll feel a lot more in your chest. If you keep the handles close to your body, you're going to be able to bias more of your triceps, and you kind of keep your arm tucked to your side, and that's going to be the way. Kind of similar to like a close grip bench press as opposed to like a regular bench press. And as I go into this next set, let me explain how this actually biases the lateral medial head. So the lateral medial head does not cross the shoulder joint, unlike the long head of the triceps. Meaning, when you're doing a compound movement where you're moving your shoulders as well as your elbow, so you're changing the shoulder angle while also changing your elbow angle, what happens is the long head of the triceps can't really get leverage because it's not getting properly stretched and being able to contract, right? And because of that, it is disadvantaged, meaning the lateral medial head are advantaged and hence biased. Now, before I get into the third exercise, if you're currently watching this and you're thinking, Tyler, honestly, I do not know where to start. I just want a good workout program, potentially a meal plan, and someone to answer all my specific fitness questions, maybe even help me stay accountable, then I highly recommend you apply to my exclusive one-on-one fitness coaching program, where if you're accepted, I'll create a custom workout program and meal plan based on your specific needs and pretty much guide you through getting to your fitness goals. You'll have access to ask me all of your specific questions, so if this sounds interesting to you, check the link in the description and apply soon because spots are limited. And the third and final only tricep exercise you need to grow your triceps is the dumbbell skull crusher. Now, the reason why I went with the dumbbell skull crusher over, let's say, a cable overhead tricep extension is that ultimately I find that the dumbbell skull crusher is more stable. A lot of people have the tendency to drop their shoulders on a cable overhead tricep extension, as shown here, as they fatigue. But I don't find this nearly to be as much of a problem on the dumbbell skull crusher, hence why I've chosen it. With that being said, the skull crusher is often incorrectly performed because of the name of the movement, as a skull crusher, which I think is such a dumb name. Instead of keeping your arms perpendicular to your body and thus doinking yourself in the head when you actually bend your elbow, what you should do is actually raise your arms a little bit higher at around 120 degrees of shoulder flexion, as shown here. In this way, you actually kind of arc the weight around your head. This will allow you to get a better range of motion in the movement, keep you from having crunchy elbows when you're doing skull crushers, and of course not hitting yourself in the head. Also, I feel like a lot of people would stick with cables when it comes to triceps training, so knowing that there is a good dumbbell tricep exercise is a pretty nice thing to have when you don't have access to cables. Now, you may have noticed that all three exercises train the triceps at different shoulder angles, and this is on purpose. Skull crusher would be more short in focus, crossbody tricep extension would be more mid-range, and machine dips would be more length in focus. Essentially, I want to avoid redundancy in your training. And now it's time to show you the sick posing routine after the set of skull crushers. Let's get it.
Well, that was posing. Now we're gonna grab some food at one of the best local good lunch deals, I would call it. So let me show y'all. All right, we're here in Lakeview to my favorite Chinese takeout place. When I moved to Chicago around a year ago, this was one of the first places I found. Peking Chinese food. Man, it reminds me of Cravings, which was my favorite food place down at U of I. So I'm gonna go grab the food inside and maybe we can take it to a park and eat it there. All right, we're here at a park. About to chow down on some orange chicken. And Frankie got some, General Tso chicken. Am I the only one that like taste test and compare how it differs? Because I was always curious, thought to myself, I'm like, dude, how does the orange chicken differ from the General Tso chicken? And how does that differ from the sesame chicken? Devour this right after. Ooh. Now General Tso. Spicier.
Oh, is it?
And sweeter. I like the orange better. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hopefully you get a better understanding of what tricep exercises to do to build some massive triceps. Like the video to support my page. It is free. It's the best way to support me in such an easy way. And subscribe if you want to see more videos just like this. Peace.